Good morning, everybody.
Who's that?
What do you mean?
First-time caller, long-time listener.
Long-time listener, first-time caller. You guys are great.
Long-time caller, first-time listener, what?
Now you're saying more backwards stuff.
I don't say anything backwards.
Did we
Backwards
talk about
not say anything.
Did we talk about the new all-time? I can't say it wrong. The new time high. How do we say that? All new time highs.
All new time highs.
Did we talk about that yet?
The advice provided on this podcast is general advice only. All statements made are considered by the participants to be accurate, but accuracy cannot be guaranteed. It has been prepared without taking into account your objectives, financial situations, or needs. All participants in this podcast, including guests, may have a financial interest in any or all of the products or services mentioned. Before acting on this advice, you should consider the appropriateness of the advice, having regard to your own objectives, financial situations, and needs. If any private products are detailed on this podcast, you should obtain a product disclosure statement relating to the products and consider its contents before making any decisions. Where quoted, past performance is not indicative of future results.
Recorded September 29th, 2017. It's the Money Path Podcast with Bob Iacchino and Mike Arnold, founders of Path Trading Partners. On episode 91, The What and the Why is sponsored by MotiveWave. Go to pathtradingpartners.com and download your 14-day free trial. So let's join Bob and Mike with a conversation of news and the markets. Oh yeah, ready to go to warp, Captain.
Yeah. You know who needs warp?
Wharf?
This
No.
sounds like an Elon Musk conversation. I don't know why.
I got to start off with Elon because the guy's nuts. And then the stuff that's flooded my email this morning, it's all right. So Elon's at the Adelaide, Australia International Astronautical Congress 2017, and he proposes using SpaceX BFR, which is their big friggin' rocket, to travel around Earth anywhere on the planet in under an hour. So this is the rocket that he envisions going to Mars, but he wants to load people on it and travel them around Earth. Like, instead of airlines, you can just get on a BFR rocket and take off like in LA and land in Paris in 45 minutes or something.
What is this? Mr. Transportation, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't know if he knows about G-forces or anything else, because you know how much astronauts train to stand the G-forces that the BFR would put out. So you're gonna have people like brain aneurysms halfway through on takeoff and everything. The guy is literally going nuts at this point. I'm sorry. But come on. And everybody, I'm reading all these tech things this morning, and they're like, this is brilliant. I get things in my email. Here's one. Oh, where is this? It says, literally, American Airlines, watch out. You are now a target. I mean, they're already dooming American Airlines because Elon has come out with this. He's going to revolutionize. He's going to put all the airlines out of business in the next 3 years or something. It's getting to the point of absurd. Like, Elon says something, and like, there goes American Airlines. Short of Bob. I mean, literally, you're going to put people on rocket ships that travel 18,000 miles per hour, and you're just going to launch them around the planet? Fantastic. That's a great idea, Elon. I think he should focus on his car rollout.
He's just the best.
He's been to too many Burning Man festivals at this point. I'm sorry. But then it's even more absurd. These analysts that are already dooming the airline industry because Elon thinks this is a good idea. I mean, like, okay, here we go. Airlines aren't going away anytime soon. I guarantee it. But and by the way, Tesla closed above a critical trend line. Now it's retesting the trend line, but
Did you see the Bloomberg interview with Jim Chanos?
no.
So for those of you that don't know, Jim Chanos is a sort of a financially famous short seller. Right? His business is he runs a short stock fund. So his business is picking stocks that won't work. He's been betting against Tesla for 2 years. And he was on Bloomberg. He said Tesla is structurally unprofitable. That's his exact quotes. That Tesla is structurally unprofitable. In other words, there's zero way under their model to make money.
With all the investigation I've been doing, because I've been doing a deep dive into Tesla over the past few months, I might tend to agree with that.
Yeah. 3 years ago, this company was supposed to be making money now. Now it's supposed to be making money in 2020, and I'm guessing by 2019, we'll hear about 2025. Tesla is structurally unprofitable with way too much leverage in their capital structure.
Yep. Well, I have a running bet with somebody, which is going to zero first, Tesla or Bitcoin. They're betting Bitcoin, I'm betting Tesla.
He called it a cult stock. And then he talked about something we talked about on the Money Path podcast a long time ago. You now have lots of competition. You have well-financed, profitable companies competing against you.
Well, did you see his back and forth with Dalmer this week?
Who, Elon?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Oh, that was classic. Where is that? He tweeted. Here it is. Well, Dahmer came out and says, or USA Today Money tweeted, Mercedes makes a $1 billion bet it can take down Tesla. Elon responded, that's not a lot of money for giant like Dahmer and Mercedes. Wish they do more, off by a zero. Dahmer responded, you're absolutely right, Elon Musk. Here's the missing zero. Investing $10 billion in next-gen EVs, electric vehicles. That $1 billion was just in their battery production that was cited in the article. Elon didn't read the article. It was just, they're putting $1 billion into just their battery production plants and everything, and the $10 billion into their EVs. So you're right, Elon. Here you go. Be careful what you're asking for.
In the car companies doing things that aren't cars, did you see Aston Martin unveiled a $4 million submarine?
I saw that they were going to. I did the submarine for the ultra rich. Yeah,
they released I think this is a sketch. But it hits speeds of 3.5 miles per hour, and it can deep dive to 1,650 feet. It's actually beautiful.
It can go 3.5 miles per hour?
Yeah.
Is that in ludicrous mode? Sorry.
Company plans to build no more than a dozen of the submersibles per year.
And how much is it?
It's $4 million.
Well, no, 4 million?
Yeah.
Did a new James Bond film get greenlit?
That is a great question.
I think it did. That's
so, Bob. Before we wrap up, because we'll loop around back to self-driving cars and everything else. But before which side of the bet you want? Bitcoin zero or Tesla zero first?
I'd go Tesla.
All right, there you. It's on the record. Here's a tie-in though. Did you see this? Intercontinental Exchange, the ICE. Which is, there's a lot of futures contract. They are now issuing a futures contract based off the NYSE FANG index of tech stocks.
It's FANG futures?
Huh?
It's FANG futures?
Yes, it's FANG futures. It will be equally weighted and will initially consist of all 5 core FANG stocks, including Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Alphabet's Google, plus another 5 actively traded technology growth stocks, Alibaba, Baidu, NVIDIA, Tesla, and Twitter.
Wow. So what's that acronym?
It's just going to be called the FANG Plus Index. So it's going to be called NYFANG. NYFANG. It's under the NYSE Global Index feed under the symbol NYFANG. So there you go. And you can use it to hedge your basket of FANG stocks. Don't even get me started on Alibaba either, because that's a whole nother topic that I don't want to touch of going to zero eventually. So that's interesting. I'm predicting peak FANG stocks with that.
That's for sure.
Peak FANG, Netflix. Netflix had a pretty big drop this week. Recovered a bit, but had a nice big drop. I don't remember what that was on. Speaking of Google, in that list of FANG stocks, Google said to split off shopping service to meet EU demands. We've been talking about, EU demands with tax stuff and everything else and fines. So they're splitting off their shopping service to meet their demands.
Mm-hmm.
And, in that FANG list, we also, I don't know why they're putting Twitter in there.
That's weird.
Yeah, they're putting Twitter in there, which is still stuck at 1679 and essentially going not really anywhere.
Balance it out.
Twitter is this going to
try and balance it out with some down movement, maybe.
Then putting
they need a T for their acronyms.
Yeah, they needed a T in there.
Is Twitter? Is this going to their trial expanding tweets from 140 characters to 280? Is that the turnaround for Twitter?
Is that happening?
They're trying it out right now, 140 to 280, because
Trump.
The social network says it will try out a longer limit of 280 characters in select languages, including English, in order to allow people to share their expanded thoughts without running out of room to tweet. The company says it came to the decision to expand the character count because it realized character count limitations more heavily impact those tweeting in some languages like English, Spanish, and Portuguese or French as compared with others like Japanese, Korean, and Chinese. So, there you go.
Dumb. I need 4 characters for that.
4 characters for DUMB?
Dumb.
You're not liking the 280 character?
It's just going to make all the Twitter wars, the Twitter war will just increase. It'll get more crazy.
Twitter war, huh?
I think they're expanding it just to do tributes to Hugh Hefner that give him his due.
Did I read it correctly that he's getting buried next to Marilyn Monroe?
I don't know. I didn't read about that. I just keep weeping.
Why are you weeping?
Because Taft died. That should have never died.
What? He was 91.
Don't care. He should have never died.
What?
Don't go in the grotto. You will need some penicillin.
I just miss him. What do you want?
Well, yeah. Hugh Hefner will be buried in plot next to Marilyn Monroe.
Wow.
Who wasn't she the first Playboy centerfold?
I don't know if she was the first or not. I'm not sure about that.
Well, you're supposed to know this stuff.
Yeah, I know. So here's what's funny. A guy that I worked with on the trading floor, his father was Playboy's original printer. So from issue number 1 all the way out to about 1994 or so, he printed every single issue of Playboy, this guy. He made a lot of money. His son was basically working on the trading floor as a hobby because he just, he didn't need the money.
And he pushed the red saturation.
Oh, did he? On visually, you mean?
That's the trick in those types of publications.
Oh, anyway, his father, every time he printed an issue, printed 2 leather-bound issues, one for himself and one for Hef, that were leather-bound and preserved and whatever. They were special editions, 2 only. And he said that for the longest time, he'd never told Hef he did 2 of them. He told Hef he did 1. And there was nothing preventing him from doing it. Well, part of why he lost the account was because Hef found out. Well, then, years later, Hef lost or ruined or burned or something his leather-bound copy of the Marilyn Monroe issue. And this guy gave his issue to Hef. So he said the collection itself is worth a lot of money, but the Marilyn Monroe one would have been worth more than the entire collection combined.
Yeah,
just leather-bound first editions.
Marilyn Monroe was the first cover girl for Playboy.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Funny that they covered those magazines with skin.
Really? That's where you're going?
That should go in your stand-up. That was good.
2 shows.
Keep that one written down.
Look how this show is just flowing so well because this ties into Food and Fashion Nook. Well, now we can talk about the Taco Bell Naked Egg Taco.
Oh, God, that does flow.
See?
Yeah.
See, the shell of the Naked Egg Taco is a fried egg.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's their first taco made entirely of classic breakfast ingredients, both inside and out. So the outside is actually a fried egg that you stuff in all the other breakfast yummy things in. You put in your bacon or sausage, seasoned potatoes, warm melty cheddar cheese, and nacho cheese sauce all folded up in a fried egg. Did you know about that?
I had not heard about that at all. That needs to go in our food review.
I know. I got to try one of these naked egg tacos now. I just don't normally go to Taco Bell for breakfast, but now I'm going to have to go there specifically to try a naked egg taco.
Do they have breakfast all day or no?
I don't know. I've never investigated that, but you're going to have to try I think we're all going to have to make it a goal to try the naked egg taco within the next couple weeks. So put that on your calendar. So if you're taking that one route you take, you can just take it early in the morning and get a naked taco.
I think it's going to be tomorrow morning. Right?
All right. Walmart. Now, we've been talking about that. Now they want to walk into your home to put groceries in your refrigerator.
I love them.
Huh?
I love them. I want the toilet paper in the window with the drone.
No, but now Walmart is testing a service that delivers groceries straight to your fridge when you're not home. They announced a partnership with August Home, a smart lock startup that would allow the delivery person to enter customers' orders and put groceries away in their refrigerators. Delivery drivers will have a one-time passcode that allows them to unlock the August smart lock if customers do not answer the door when the delivery team arrives to drop off groceries. They will drop off the packages in the foyer, unload groceries in the fridge, and leave with the door locking behind them. Customers get a notification when the driver rings the doorbell, and the August home security cameras allow them to watch the entire process from the app if they wish.
Love it.
So you would use that?
Hell yeah.
No, they're going to have to clean my refrigerator first.
It's going to force you to clean it, you mean?
No, they're going to have to clean it. I have my own standards that probably don't live up to others.
Oh, hell yeah, I would use that.
Here's another thing. We're tying in Target. Target is adding Pinterest visual search tool to its app and website. So Pinterest and Target announced a partnership to integrate the visual search technology known as Lens into Target's apps. The deal, which represents the first that the Pinterest is integrated Lens with the retailer's app, will allow Target shoppers to snap a photo of any product and then find similar items available for sale at Target. So that's new on the Target retail store front wars that keep going on between Target, Walmart, Amazon.
Target's lost. They have lost.
We'll see.
Who's going to zero first, Mike? Target, Walmart, or Amazon?
I don't think any of them are going to zero.
Who's going to zero first, though, if you have to pick one?
But none of them.
Who's going down 50% first?
Target already did.
Oh, my God. Why do you got to be difficult with everything?
Because I had a bird chirping in the background.
Who's going down relatively the most first?
They've already gone down relatively the most first, so I can't take that bet. Target's rallied back to $60 rather nicely from its lows of 48, 50. So it's, there's been some decent trades. It just got above a horizontal channel. So it's trading against this 50-week moving average. And if it gets above about 60.50, I'm looking for the next target of 63.75. So there you go. In our cool tech segment, Microsoft and Facebook's massive undersea cable is complete, and it can support data speeds of up to 160 terabytes per second. That's pretty fast. Huh?
Say that again.
They have a cable. They built a cable between Virginia Beach to the northern city of Bilbao in Spain. Last week, they announced the cable called Maria is complete. Maria, which means tide in Spanish, lies over 17,000 feet below the Atlantic Ocean surface and is around 4,000 miles long. It weighs 10.25 million pounds. So we have the fancy new cable, which also could be upgraded on the fly. It's an open design, means Microsoft and Facebook are trying to make the cable as future-proof as possible. It can evolve as technology changes, demands increase for more data at higher speeds. the flexibility means upgrading the cable and its equipment to be comparable with newer technology will be easier, so they designed that in. Facebook traded on a weekly basis to the bottom of the weekly rotation zone and snapped back up.
It's just optical fiber, right?
The repeater stuff can be upgraded on the fly once they come up with new compression standards and even more robust technology. So it's very interesting.
I'm trying to understand and figure out what Facebook does next. The more I think about Facebook, the more I think they're going to be replaced by something different and revolutionary and just not necessarily go away, but become a completely different company. Similar to like IBM with the cloud, you know? I mean, Facebook is losing young users. They recently got, I don't want to say sanctioned, but they got sort of cornered for saying they had more advertising people to sell in a certain age demographic than existed. Remember that story a couple weeks ago?
Yep.
They were telling people they could reach this many people, and it was more than existed in the United States. So I just keep wondering, like, how they go from what they are now to something that sustains the stock price. And what they are now is an absolute profit machine. They just make money hand over fist. So I combine that with things like, why would you have to cheat on the amount of people when all you do is make money hand over fist? I wonder what Zuckerberg's plan is. I really do, because he still controls the company. Anyway, a little off subject.
Yeah. No, that's...
I want to short those FANG futures, I guess is what I'm saying.
You're going to short the FANG futures?
Yeah, as soon as they launch.
See what you can do, short the FANG futures and just buy the couple stocks that you really want.
Exactly.
And then you're sort of taking, since it's all equal weight, you're... Like if you want to own, let's say, Amazon and Alphabet / Google, but then you don't care for Twitter, Tesla, Facebook. You could just buy those couple stocks and short the futures, and you got an interesting trade there. Interesting trade. Nike earnings this week. They missed on revenue, but beat on earnings per share. But they always have funky earnings per share. They always manage to beat that somehow. But trading back down to its 50 or 200-week simple moving average, which is critical support, coming in right about 52 right now. I'm not interested in doing anything with Nike, but if we get a close below 50, we have a nice potential drop down to probably around the 45 level, potentially. Nike's stock not looking so hot.
I'm starting to see less and less of athleisure, too.
Really? What are people wearing now, then?
People are getting more dressed up when you go into the city now. You're seeing less and less of athleisure, and you're starting to see a little bit more dressed up. Even people who were, like, happy to have gone from suits to casual are going back to, like, sport coats. Males and women, I'm seeing more and more dresses and stuff. It's just something that's switching, even when people are just kind of hanging out. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, the soccer moms drive that trend, so we'll see how long they continue with it. I would expect a long time. But athleisure, watch Lulu for that, obviously. Lululemon.
What is Lulu doing right now with their stock?
For a while, and it was a stock I watched very closely for a long time. I just haven't looked at it in a while.
It's bounced back from its recent lows. It's about up. It's up over 20% from its recent lows.
Yeah, I think they had earnings, and it's difficult to keep that stock down when the whole stock market's going up. But they were the ones who, when they missed their earnings, I want to say it was 2 quarters ago, said it was because they chose the wrong colors. They missed a color trend. That's the kind of thing I can't really trade. You missed a color trend? Okay, I can't look at your stock anymore.
Oh, see, that's... Well, don't invest in Sherman-Williams then.
Not up on the color trends, and we don't cover it in fashion. So,
yeah. Oh, you know what's going to have to sort of become probably a regular segment now?
What?
Hacking Hangout. I mean, this is getting scary. So we've had a massive hack at Deloitte. Their entire internal email systems compromised, client emails exposed. They're like one of the big 4 accounting and consultancy firms, and they just came out that their stuff was hacked. Pretty bad for some of their clients if their whole email server is about. It was compromised because there's probably some stuff that companies don't want out there. And also, this just came out, I think, yesterday. Fast food chain Sonic confirms data breach. Sonic. Drive-in hamburger restaurant said its credit card processor notified the company last week of unusual activity with cards that have been used at Sonic locations. So they're now engaging a third-party forensic experts and law enforcement and starting to look into this to see how bad the hacking was in their systems.
What makes a hacker choose Sonic?
Well, they would just want the credit cards, and if they find, like, remember Chipotle got hacked, and
Yeah.
this is getting to be a major trend of everything's getting hacked now.
Does cryptocurrency solve that problem because of what they are?
You know, I'm sure there's going to be some hacks in cryptos. I know there's been hacks in exchanges and funds have been drained, but if somebody finds a hack, there could be some vulnerabilities that have not been discovered yet in certain cryptos.
Federal law enforcement's got to catch up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, this is like every week now. So we're getting these big hacking reports. So I guess maybe we just go all back to cash.
Right.
What goes around comes around.
At least people aren't getting mugged in alleys now.
Yes, you're just getting mugged virtually. This was interesting in our electric and self-driving cars. You can now, this was a headline, you can now buy a Volvo like an iPhone. Volvo is trying to bring essentially the same concept to the often confusing world of car buying. Today, the company unveiled, quote, Care by Volvo, a new subscription service for its cars. Customers pay a flat monthly fee, get a brand new vehicle, and can upgrade as early as 12 months into the plan. They haven't said yet how much it's going to cost, but it's you pay your subscription model, and it's like a rolling lease, I guess, and you just say, I want a new car. Well, I mean, Cadillac did something like that too, but it was like $1,500 a month. Volvo is looking to target something closer to $500.
I feel like I remember that with Cadillac, and it didn't go very well because it was too pricey.
It was too pricey, but Volvo is trying to target, that $500 to $600. I guess that's what everybody's saying. So that could be an interesting model.
It's essentially a monthly zip car.
Yeah. You get and you drive it for a while, then you're like, I want the new model.
Love it.
And now Cadillac, speaking of Cadillac embarks on its first ever hands-free drive with Super Cruise. 12 Super Cruise-equipped Cadillac CT6 vehicles will cross through 16 states plus Washington, D.C. as they make their way from New York to California. So this is their highway autonomous driving system. Now driving across the country, and it is going to stop in Chicago, Illinois, on the way. So a lot of these companies are first attacking, the complete hands-free driving across the country on highways because, again, it's simpler to build those systems and debug them and get the core technology working there before you get it to the local roads. So Cadillac's making big strides, I think. And they're a GM company, which is supposedly leading the autonomous driving race so far.
Who is?
What was that?
Who does that put in the lead?
Oh, GM's supposedly leading it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've touched on that before, but Cadillac is part of GM, so.
I heard that as well.
We already talked about the Daimler $11 billion in electric vehicles, and here's one though: Dyson. To spend $1 billion making radical electric car. I really hope it doesn't suck.
Does Dyson have $1 billion?
Yeah, they're a very big company.
Their marketing arm should get a $1 billion bonus. I swear, those commercials with the guy who looks like he started IKEA. Is that Mr. Dyson? I don't know. Yeah. Talking about how their vacuums and stuff work differently. That was just brilliant stuff.
Yep. Yeah, they built a huge vacuum empire, and they do hair dryers and air filters. They're looking to build an electric car by 2020. James Dyson said on Tuesday the company is investing £1 billion, about $1.34 billion, to develop the car, plus the same sum to create solid-state batteries to power it. So they're going straight to solid-state batteries. Very interesting with that.
Wish I knew what that meant.
Well, that's the next generation of battery technology, which is going to allow for faster charging, very rapid charging. It's essentially going to put the gigafactories out of business. So Dyson has said his electric car will be radically different than those being designed by other car makers, including Tesla. There's no point in doing something that looks like everyone else's. It's not a sports car, and it's not a very cheap car. Just like they don't make cheap vacuums, they're not going to make cheap cars.
There you go.
Cryptocurrency news, major news out of South Korea. This is breaking overnight from last night. South Korea has now banned ICOs and margin trading.
Wow.
We've talked about the bans on ICOs. You know, China banned it. We're cracking down on it, which a lot of these ICOs are completely fraudulent. But they also lumped in margin trading. Ethereum and Bitcoin dropped after South Korea banned domestic initial coin offerings and margin trading in cryptocurrencies. The Financial Services Commission in Seoul said all forms of ICOs are prohibited in the country, including projects that share profits, rights, dividends, and other coin-style offerings, according to a statement. The commission also banned the practice of loaning funds to trade currencies, including Bitcoin and Ethereum, according to an official who clarified the statement. So you can still trade them there, you just can't trade on margin, which I actually think is a good thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing.
And the ICOs need to, I mean, we've talked about that, the Wild West, and there's just too much crap in this ICO market. I mean, when we talked about where is it? I think here we go. Macau's former gangland boss, Juan Kook Koi, I don't know if I said that, known as, quote, Broken Tooth, is backing a $500 million initial coin offering in Hong Kong. So you have a gang boss backing. So
you almost never hear me say we need regulation because I just am against it in general. Wow, does that mean people are that stupid?
Yeah, so when you have gangland bosses doing ICO launches, and they're doing it like fully, hey, it's me doing it. That's when you're going to attract some additional scrutiny.
John Gotti Jr. is doing one from Walpole prison.
I mean, that's the point we're getting to with some of these ICOs. That's why
how much did they raise? $500 million?
$500 million. I guess, crime does pay because he's putting $500 million into an ICO.
Well, that is just insane.
Yeah. So that's where it's like, okay, all right. There's some very good coins out there. So there's some coins that aren't going to disappear, and then there's a bunch of fraud and stuff that people are just jumping on the bandwagon, and it's becoming blatant theft and into the murky waters of stuff you don't want to get involved in.
That's the title of the new segment. Murky waters, stuff you just don't want to get involved in.
And now we have the first blockchain smartphone is in development. Siren Labs, the company behind the $14,000 Solarian smartphone, is now developing an open source model that runs a feeless blockchain. The Finney, named in honor of Bitcoin pioneer Hal Finney, will be the only smartphone in the world that's fully secure and safe enough to hold cryptographic coins.
And it will be free?
No, the phone's supposed to run around $1,000.
But the usage of it will be free? Is that what I understood?
A feeless blockchain, which means you can store you can store all your cryptos in it. Okay. It's like a digital wallet that is hardware based, so it's got really secure hacking protections against it, because you realize if somebody gets your private key to your cryptos, they can essentially drain your crypto bank account. So if you're keeping it on your phone or a crypto wallet, they have to be very secure. So if something happens to your phone, it's not easily hackable and people can't drain your essentially crypto bank account. So they're developing the phone fully dedicated. It's going to be like any other smartphone, but it's fully dedicated to really the core thing is, hey, you want to keep your cryptocurrencies on your phone in this digital hard wallet. Here's the phone for you.
Got it.
So it's getting more and more mainstream. I mean, this is moving pretty fast. And Mario Draghi made it clear this week that there's no way to ban Bitcoin or to even regulate it, saying, quote, it would actually not be in our powers to prohibit and regulate them. We have to ask what effect cryptocurrencies have on the economy. He added that they are still far too immature to be considered a viable payment methodology. So that's where he is. But he said, there's no way to ban Bitcoin or regulate it in Europe. We'll see about that, but
Has he sat down with Jamie Dimon?
John, he said something else this week about it too. He's really on a rampage against Bitcoin still.
Yeah, he is. He sounds like a knucklehead. I hate to say it. I mean, here he is, the head of J.P. Morgan Chase. They have a cryptocurrency summit last week, but yet he'd fire anyone that trades in it. J.P. Morgan Chase had a cryptocurrency summit for high net worth clients.
Yeah. So, and they're for the high net worth clients. So, what you're saying is fraudulent? Then you're telling your high net worth clients, or unless you're telling to the summit and telling them to not invest in it.
I'm thinking that it was one of those things. Like, have you ever heard that one of the ways that they catch people who have a warrant is they set up like a fake lottery winning, and they send them, and they all show up and they just get arrested? This was Jamie Dimon's way of firing all the high net worth clients that trade in cryptos.
I don't think that would be a strategic business move.
Investing your money anymore. You're all fired.
Oh boy. Well, we can now roll into the U.S. economy segment. I want to get your thoughts. There's a lot of Fed speak this week, but before we get that, let me just run down the numbers real quick. Durable goods beat, coming in at 1.7 versus expectations of 1. Transports coming in at 0.2, meeting expectations of 0.2%. Personal income right on track with 0.2 versus expectations of 0.2. Personal spending down 0.1%, and that was in line with the expectations. The GDP Now forecast from the Atlanta Fed is bumped up to 2.3% from 2.1% for the third quarter. The New York Fed's GDP Nowcast model sees Q3 GDP at 1.46 versus 1.56 last week. Q2 final reading for GDP came in at 3.1 versus expectations of 3%. And this morning, wholesale inventories beat 1.0% versus expectations of 0.4%, which necessarily isn't a good thing.
Well, inventories add to GDP, so it just depends.
Yes, but it's not necessarily good. It subtracts from other areas, too.
It subtracts from production, yeah. So if they continue to produce and inventories build, you actually get an artificially higher GDP, which is what Mike is saying. So
yes.
But
so we have a lot of Fed speak this week.
Yeah. Without going over it line by line, I mean, you can read those if you want.
No, I just have some highlights in there.
Yeah, if you guys are interested, you just type in Fed speakers and stuff in the news section of your Google machine, and you'll see all the stuff. Essentially, they continue to tell us they need to raise rates regardless of whether there's inflation or not. And I've been thinking a lot about that. About this, and I've been going to cover it in my why. But they're not looking at inflation any longer. They have a dual mandate here in the U.S. Fed. There's only two of them that have said we've got to go slowly in recent comments, and it was Evans and I think Bullard. But they're not looking at the inflation figures any longer. They're looking at the potential growth that could come from X, Y, and Z and the inflation that could come from that. And this is not a hawkish Fed. So again, I believe it's all about the QE and getting us to a place where if something happens, they have room to move back the other way. I truly believe that's what this is and nothing else.
I agree with you.
To me, there is zero reason to raise rates. The economy is not runaway strength. Inflation is not runaway. The job market is only tight because we don't have the skill set to fill the jobs that are available. That's the only reason it's tight. So there's still plenty of people in the U6. So, yeah, this is all about the future recession, and that's it.
Well, Cash and Carry also said or Kashikari said on Monday that he sees no need for the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates any further.
Yeah.
He's another one that says.
Yeah, then maybe that was the other guy I was thinking of, or was it three of them?
I know Evans said it.
Evans said it, and I might have been thinking of Kashikari, but I don't know.
Also, Evans was not convinced that weak inflation is a transitory event. Yeah, she kept saying that they're wary of moving too gradually. I agree with you. I think it's all about getting the rates up so they have room to cut. They're wary of moving too gradually, and, quote, my colleagues and I may have misjudged the fundamental forces driving inflation. You think?
I I just think they missed the changes in what drives inflation. The fundamental forces have changed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Bullard also came out this week and said equity valuations may be stretched. And, quote, Fed lacks credibility with the financial markets. Although my favorite thing this week, and I don't understand this, Fisher says that U.S. macro-prudential toolkit has not yet been battle tested. What is a macro-prudential toolkit?
I have no idea.
I was like, what? Are you now a consultant? Because you're making up words. I want to find out what the macro-prudential toolkit that has not been battle tested is. Harker said hitting the pause button on Fed's rate hikes is appropriate. Is that the other person? But he's still penciling in a December hike. He says hitting the pause button is appropriate, but he's still penciling in the third hike. They're penciling in rate hikes now? What is this on their calendar? Like, I think we'll hike. Goldman also cut their Q3 GDP from 1.5 to 1.4 as weak new home sales report suggests a larger decline in third quarter housing investment. So that's all I had on the U.S. economy. Anything else you had?
No, I had nothing else, although German consumer confidence dipped a little bit. I think it had to do with the election. And Eurozone industrial production and things were higher. So Euro is still kind of rocketing along, but you got to watch that Germany situation.
Well, what was the take from the elections?
Well, what's her name? Angela Merkel. She won, but her party came in with 41%. It's the first time. This is her fourth term, and it's the first time she's not going to have a majority, so she has to form a coalition government, meaning she has to govern alongside and with people that opposed her for a long time. The Social Democrats decided to move into the opposition as opposed to partner with her, so she has to go further to the right, which she didn't want to do. And this is the first time since 1939 that what many people consider to be the far conservative right or the alt-right of Germany is going to be at the Bundestag. They got 13% of the vote, which is huge. Huge.
Huge?
Yeah.
So that's the election update. So was that I think that caused a dip in the euro.
Yeah, it definitely did. It definitely.
How about with Draghi's comments? Anything out there?
Well, yeah, he loved it because he wants the euro lower. He had said a week or so ago that a 5% move, a 5% move in the euro higher would be very concerning. He's not tightening rates, although with the strength in the European economy, I would even venture to say, given the inflation in the Eurozone as well, that he has more of a right to raise rates than the U.S. Fed does, or more of a reason, I should say. They have every right to do whatever they want. But he has more economic backing for a rate hike, in my opinion, than the U.S. does. So when you look at it from that perspective, he was very happy to see this happen. Merkel was going to go into a whole two-party deal to bolster the European economy with Emmanuel Macron in France, and she can no longer do that on her own. And Emmanuel Macron is very pro-corporation, and this is part of the reason that Social Democrats in Germany decided to go into the opposition party with Merkel, because she needs to move even further right. So they now want to block her doing anything with Macron because they're very pro-worker. So the idea is that France and then by default Germany want to go more toward less worker protections to bolster the economy. And this really harms that because she's going to have trouble getting it done now.
All right. And one of my favorite thing was what that Draghi said was that it was hard to assess how big the ECB's balance sheet should be. That was my favorite thing from him this week. Although he still needs a very substantial degree of accommodation is still needed.
So that conversation kind of leads me to my why.
Today's edition of The What and the Why is brought to you by Motive Wave Software. Motive Wave Software is a well-established developer of easy-to-use, full-featured charting, analysis, and trading software built for the individual trader. MotiveWave offers the best charting tools used by the pros, such as Elliott Wave, Fibonacci, Gartley, Gannon ratio analysis, but it's presented in a very easy-to-use way. MotiveWave has a product to fit any budget and any trading style, and one of the very best features, it's available on Windows and Mac. So go to pathtradingpartners.com right now to get your 14-day free trial, and then visit them at motivewave.com.
Again, I've been thinking more and more about this rate situation and how a dovish U.S. Federal Reserve just continues to say that rate hikes are appropriate when there's no real credible GDP model showing even 2.5% right now. Right? Did I miss one, Mike? Or I don't see one at 2.5%.
No, there's not one. They're all 2 or below.
They're all mid 1, high 1. Or low.
Well, the highest one is the Atlanta Fed that's now been revised to 2.3, but that notoriously misses.
Yeah, they notoriously revise it in the direction of the last GDP release.
Yes.
So, anyway, we had a 3.1 GDP, but that again was the second quarter. That was the final read on the second quarter, which the second quarter has been historically the strongest quarter. It is the first 3% GDP in over 2 years. So that was a good thing. But outside of that, Mike and I agree there's no real reason to do it. And the only real reason to do it is give yourself runway for a slowdown. This is the longest economic expansion, and it took a long time for them to call it an expansion because we were waiting for expansion like GDPs, and we never got them. So it's now the longest post-war expansion. And, far be it from me to say that anything is ever due, but an economic downturn is starting to look due. And I think that the central bankers around the world are worried about this. So move that on to volatility in the VIX. Volatility sellers continue to sell all measures of volatility, not just the VIX, but we'll talk about the VIX. I mean, you have decades low volatility in emerging markets. You have decades low volatility in UK bonds. Everywhere across the globe, you have decades low volatility. And it is because, in my opinion, the central banks control so much of the assets. And everybody knows it. So even when you get the only thing that's going to, in my opinion, spike volatility is an actual war and not just the talk of a war. I believe that President Trump and Kim Jong-un are involved in a bunch of WWE stuff that's not going to actually ever turn into a WrestleMania. I think it's just going to continue to be rhetoric, and it's never going to, because that's suicide for North Korea. Regardless of how ugly it would be and how inhumane a nuclear war would be, it is 100% suicide for the country of North Korea. So I don't think that's happening. So I don't think the VIX is ever going up. Now, obviously, I'm exaggerating, right? But if central banks unwind slowly, then the VIX can mean revert, but very slowly. And Mike, what happens if you sell volatility and it grinds up very slowly? You probably make money, right? So volatility is going to continue to be sold, and they're going to continue to make money from it. And that's it. So this is one of those things where, like, people have been waiting for Japan to blow up. Mike and I have had friends and colleagues that have placed big bets on that, and it just never really does because the central bank continues to control it. We are 100% going to blow up, but I'm not sure I'm going to live to see it.
VIX 968.
There you go.
I mean, it's absurd. My what? Bitcoin? We're getting into a crypto what? South Korea came out with its ban. It dropped temporarily straight back to the daily top of the rotation zone. We also talk about in our videos. And it's already bounced back to where it was trading a couple days ago. So it's starting to shake off this news more and more. You had a pretty big downturn when China announced it, but it's already recovered over half of that. And now with everything it's done with the South Korea, we have new price targets, and the next major price target higher right now is trading at 4,200. We're looking for 4,400 next. So we're still in bullish mode, especially with this latest South Korea and how quickly it shook off the news. So that is my what.
Okay. That's a show.
The show must go on. So do you want me to do a sign out?
Yeah, throw one in there.
how'd he finish? Should I just say, and I'm Mike Arnold? That kind?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. And I'm Mike Arnold, and we will talk to you again next week. Have a great one.